Today, we're going to be talking about the Eliasphere and the Eliacube. Even the show watchers should be people who know what the Eliacube is because it was introduced all the way in Season 1 of WAKFU. Basically, it was created thousands of years ago, way before the world of 12 existed. Organax and the other Mechasms came to become friends with the Eliatropes, and they actually hit it off. And one day, Organax lets down his guard and falls asleep, and Kilby takes his heart and transforms it into the Eliacube. Keep in mind, even though Organax is the weakest of his race and the youngest, he still has infinite power within his heart, which is now the Eliacube, and he very much goes on a rampage with the other Mechasms due to that. However, I already talked about the lore behind that in the Nora and Ephraim video, so I'm not going to talk about it here. The Eliasphere is something I haven't talked about yet, and it is the stronger variation of the Eliacube. The reason for that is because all the other Mechasms are stronger than Organax, and one of the strongest of them is Locus, and his heart was used to make the Eliasphere. The common theme between both of them is that they grant the user infinite power and an infinite energy pool. So it's just constantly flowing WAKFU into the body of its user, and the strength of the user determines how much it's capable of giving you. Like, for example, Nox is able to pull off less impressive feats than Yugo was able to later into the series, because Yugo by that point had better WAKFU control and bigger WAKFU reserves. Like, for example, Nox was only able to go back around like 20 minutes into the past with the power of the Eliacube despite it being infinite. Meanwhile, Yugo was able to manipulate places like the blank dimension, which literally is a realm of nothingness beyond the concepts of space and time. So yeah, with the Eliacube and the Eliasphere, it's a lot harder to actually tell who's stronger because the Eliacube and the Eliasphere do different things for different people depending on how much they're capable of using its power, without dying, of course. And before anyone asks, yes, the Primordial and Eliatrope Dofus are way stronger than the Eliasphere. A good way to explain it is that the gods fear the Primordial and Eliatrope Dofu. They do not fear the Eliacube, or the Eliasphere for that matter. But we're going to go into what my little theory on what the powers of the Eliacube could be slightly related to, since they leave it a bit ambiguous. Nox based all of his technology and all of his studies around the Eliacube. Everything he used or made was based around making the Eliacube more efficient. My theory is that the Eliacube's powers are mostly based around warping space, time, and dimensions, because every single major user of the Eliacube has been able to do that. They've been able to manipulate space through people like Yugo and Kilby, even though at least it amplifies their ability to do that, and it manipulates stuff like time across the material plane. A character named Pandora from the games actually does help solidify that the Eliacube is actually designed to manipulate space, time, and dimensions. Why? Because she's a fanatic for learning about like Eliatropes and their technology, aka the Eliacube. And she also was obsessed with learning about Nox and his technology. She reverse engineered all of it and made Pandora's box. With all of that knowledge, she made Pandora's box, which is able to manipulate dimensional energy, manipulate space, manipulate time, and make portals to any dimension that she wants. She was even able to traverse Zellorium, which is a divine dimension made by God Zeller, with each of the 3 islands representing the past, present, and future. So if you ask me, the powers of the Eliacube and the Eliasphere seem to be space, time, and dimension related. Which also does explain why the gods weren't affected by Nox reversing time across the universe, because the material plane is the only place with stuff like space, time, and dimensions. The gods have no concept of what that is. So we know that the Eliacube and the Eliasphere give infinite amp to your strength, speed, durability, any of your pre-existing abilities, as well as giving you manipulation of space, time, and dimensions. At least that's the abilities that we know of, because there really could be anything tied to the Eliacube, and we could just not know it yet. But yeah, that should be about it. We've seen like pretty much every single relevant character have the Eliacube at some point. But who knows? Anyways, bye!